It's Barb. Sitting here on a Saturday evening. I'm a day late. I know things have been kind of crazy this week. I just realized how much I look like a newscaster. Sorry about that. But and that the 80s are in with these shoulder pads. No one told me that. Anyways, I'm here today with you with 4 recommended reads. They were all fantastic. You can't go wrong with any of them. The first one is Susan Meissner's Only the Beautiful. If you watched Step Into the Story earlier this month, and if you haven't, you really need to check us out. You know that Donna Allward and I decided that this was about as close to perfect as a book could get. It's the story of 2 women. It's told, they're 10 years apart. There's 16-year-old Roseanne, who's an unwed mother in the 1930s, who is committed to an asylum against her will. And then there is Helen, who is returned from Nazi Germany after witnessing the atrocities. The underlying theme connecting the 2 of them is the theme of eugenics. For those of you who don't know, that's the practice of purifying genetics by either imprisoning or segregating or forced sterilization. The Nazis practiced it, we know that. Sadly, the United States practiced it and practiced it even longer. We were still doing eugenics and forced sterilization on minorities in the 1960s. The book is very powerful. It's wonderfully written. It's one of those books where she doesn't tell you so much what's going on as you experience it. I don't think I've ever been as emotionally invested in a book as I was this one. I was furious on Roseanne's behalf. I was furious on Helen's behalf. You just felt their powerlessness. So I urge you to pick it up. It's a hardcover book, but you can get it on Kindle, or it's worth the $27. I'm telling you. I don't usually say that, but in this case, it's definitely worth it. Susan Meissner is probably one of the smartest writers out there, and she's an auto-buy for me. The second book that after I read Susan's, I needed something a little lighter. So I picked up The City of Flickering Light by Juliette Fay. This is an older book. She wrote it about 6 years ago. She's got more current women's fiction releases out, but this is one of her historical fiction books. It's about the early days of Hollywood. It's, which you got Hollywood, you got 1920s, you got the early days of talkies. You cannot go wrong. It's about 3 friends. They're called, they're Irene, Millie, and Henry. They're burlesque workers who literally jump the train to go make their way in Hollywood. Henry and Millie find stardom in front of the camera. Irene finds her own success behind the camera. It's not that simple. It touches on themes of homosexuality, prejudice, abuse, sexual assault. There's a lot of tragedy that happens to these people. The bond that keeps them going is their friendship. The message here is that you don't go it alone. These people survive Hollywood. They survive their rise to Hollywood and the struggles to get there because they have this great friendship between them. So that's the overall message: friendship, love between people. It's a really fun book. It unfolds almost like a movie. It's kind of episodic, and it reminded me a lot of those miniseries in the 80s and the 90s where you had something happen and then the next episode was something else and the next episode was something else, and you really got caught up in the events. So if you're looking for something that's a good, fun beach read that has a little meat to it, I mean, it's certainly not fluffy, but it's not as heavy as some of the other books, then this is a book for you. It's City of Flickering Light by Juliette Fay. Now we're on to the Paris duo, as I like to call it. The next book is The Paris Deception by Bryn Turnbull. She is, again, an auto-buy for me. I loved The Last Grand Duchess, which was about the Romanovs in Russia. I mean, she made us sympathize with the Tsar's family, which was, that's not an easy thing to do when you're talking about the Russian Revolution, but she did it. And Paris Deception is completely different than that. It's kind of a caper. It's about French artwork, and the French artwork being stolen from the Jews during the World War II. It's about 2 sister-in-laws who find their voice through creating forgeries. There are 2 women, Sophie and Fabienne. Fabienne is a widow who is eking her existence out as a prostitute. Sophie works for the museums. They decide, after learning that there's all this art that's being stolen, to forge the art and pass it off as real so that the real stuff can be hidden and later returned to the Jews it was stolen from. And so you have this whole intrigue of stealing the art and hiding the art and all that. And at the same time, there's a lot of story about family and forgiveness and how much everyone did during World War II. You realize that we learn a lot about the resistance. I didn't know as much about things like the forbidden art and a lot of the art that was banned by the Nazis. And I didn't know a lot about, actually, I didn't know a lot about what they did with the art period. I didn't know that Herman Garrett was such a collector or that he stole so many of the pieces himself. What I liked about this is everybody in the book is doing something to fight the Nazis. And I think that's kind of the message. Like, it's one person doesn't do a lot, but 1,000 or 1,000,000 people doing a little thing makes a big difference. And so she combines this caper story with this message about fighting fascism. And it's really fun. It was one of those books that I read in 3 days. I couldn't get away from it. So I highly recommend it. It's really greatly written. It's completely different than her other books. So I say, check it out. This was one of the ones that I was anticipating. If you know, I said it was one of my most anticipated books of 2023. It didn't disappoint me. So Paris Deception by Bryn Turnbull. And then the last one, which comes out on Tuesday. It's not out yet. I thank NetGalley for the advanced read, is Kristen Harmel's The Paris Daughter. And oh my God, I inhaled this book. I can't even come up with words to describe this book. It's about two best friends who they meet, they're pregnant at the same time, they have their children at the same time, and they become very good friends. And they're in Paris just as the Nazis are beginning to invade. There's Jeanette, who runs a bookstore. She's happily married. She has a picture-perfect family. You couldn't ask for more. And then you have Elise, who is married to a communist sympathizer. He's a famous artist. He's a rabble-rouser. The Germans are watching him because he's causing all sorts of trouble. Obviously, her life's in danger. She is forced to leave her daughter with her best friend. So you get this whole plot about having to leave your daughter behind because that's the best thing. And the question is, then becomes, what makes a good mother? Is it the person that leaves the child behind, or is it the woman that stays with the children? And I don't want to spoil it too much, but it says it on the back cover, so I can't spoil it too much. Elise returns and finds that Jeanette's business and home have been destroyed. They're gone. The building's gone. The family's gone. And what she finds are just the graves. And the thing that's missing is Jeanette and her daughter. So it's about grief. It's about picking up after loss. It's about secrets. There are some twists in there that are great. It's about motherhood, what a mother is, the sacrifices mothers make. I can't necessarily say it's not. Let me back up. The plot is kind of predictable. I mean, I said there were twists. I figured them out pretty quick. I think that you guys will figure them out quick too. But it doesn't matter because the subject matter is so emotional. Anyone who's had a child can feel the pain that these women are going through. And she does such a wonderful job of capturing what it's like to lose a child, to have to separate yourself from a child, the things you sacrifice for your child. It's a visceral kind of reaction that you get to this book where you just understand and you empathize with these women, even when they make bad decisions. And there are some bad decisions in this book. You understand why they made them and you feel for them. I cried at the end. It takes a lot to make me cry, but this book did. And again, like I said, I inhaled it. I read most of it in one night. I think I only had like maybe 50 pages left the next day. I couldn't stay awake and I finished it. You need to go out and buy it. It comes out on Tuesday. You need to buy this. Kristen Harmel fans will already have bought it, but if you've never read Kristen Harmel, you are missing out on a great treat. So those are my 4 recommendations for the month. Only the Beautiful, The City of Flickering Lights, The Parish Deception, and The Parish Daughter. If you bought all 4 of these, you would probably have a fantastic month of reading of By the Beach. So get them, enjoy them, and I will come back in July and give you the books for August. So, and just a quick reminder, Bryn Turnbull is going to be Donna's guest on Step Into the Story. She's going to be interviewing her next month. I'm bummed out that I won't be there, so because I want to gush over her. But you get a chance, so I hope you'll watch it. If you have any questions, text them in the notes here, and we'll make sure she gets them so she can answer them. And we'll be back on Tuesday to talk about the London Seance Society, which Donna and I have thoughts about. We're looking forward to talking about it. So again, we hope you'll join us. We hope you've read them, and I will see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.